Creating a new technology is great, but are we efficiently using what we already have? Here we present Cloud Sentinel, an ultimate tool to keep a watch on your cloud expenses and managing your unused resources. As we all know, there are multiple AWS accounts owned by Ribbon. It is difficult to manage and keep a watch on all of. The question arises is, do we know the total amount we pay to AWS every month or every year? Do we know which resources is adding to our cost? There are many resources that we use, some of them cost more, some negligible, but we really need to keep an eye on them. Can we use a single login to get the cost of all the accounts? Using AWS billing, you'll need to access each account separately, and also sometimes we even forget which account we have created and which instance is running on which account. As a member of higher tier, does the person need to inquire from each team what resource they are using? Yes, of course, they need to. As a matter of fact, the amount Ribbon is spending on its AWS account is increasing every month. Talking about the cost, here is a snapshot from our tool showing total expenses paid in the last year. We can see the increasing trends from July to October in the graph. And by the way, can you guess how much we spent in the March? It's whopping $99,000. There are many misconceptions about usage, cost, and billing of AWS services. So why are we paying such a huge amount? Do we really need to pay that? The public cloud is an inexpensive than on-premise computing. Of course, in the beginning and for a small scale, they are cheaper, but in large scale, everything has its own cost, which is quite high. Turn-on instances do not incur cost. The instance will consume resources until and unless it is terminated, so always terminate the instance if it is not being used. Not using an EIP will save us money, or attaching EIP to a running instance doesn't incur cost. Multiple copies of same data is required for data consistency. AWS already provides a backup. We have option of snapshot for that, or else we can use code versioning. EC2 charges are only determined by its type. It's a great myth. So what we have done in these 48 hours to overcome these problems? We have provided a consolidated view for all accounts and its expenses in a single screen, along with a detailed view of particular account, the services it uses, and the money it is spending on each services, with an easy to use UI which helps in faster management and easy access. This was one part of the project. In the next part, the multiple users defined policies for scheduling different services and instances, easy termination of unused instances and storage, scheduled running of the instances. We look into it deeper. We have used the following third-party components in our project: AWS Cost Explorer and AWS CLI and Cloud Custodian for mainly backend, Flask for integrating backend and frontend, and for frontend Bootstrap, ColorLib, Chartist.js, and Modest.js. Let's discuss about the design of our project, that how we have done this. The UI that show consolidated view receives the information from backend where various queries are being running. The statistical data of cost forecast and historical data is being fetched with the help of queries run by AWS Cost Explorer. The information about the instances and storage is being fetched with the AWS CLI. Cloud Custodian for managing the resources and applying policies for the cost efficiency. The UI runs on Bootstrap HTML and CSS. Flask and Jinja are being used as web framework. AWS Billing also provides somewhat same stats. So what is special about Cloud Sentinel? So Sentinel gives consolidated view of multiple accounts, which is not available in AWS. The most unique thing about Cloud Sentinel is it follows the command of the user. That is, it provides policies. Through policies, we can schedule the terminate of a EC2 instance. We can plan the on-off time of the instance, terminate the instance when it is not in use, and along with the instances, these policies can also work on the detached volumes. How is Cloud Sentinel beneficial to Ribbon? One obvious factor is cost. If implemented properly, Cloud Sentinel can reduce the total cloud expense almost by half. If you are a higher authority, it gives consolidated view to give a better idea of expenses without any extra effort in data gathering from AWS console to multiple accounts. It gives an easy idea of areas, resources to focus on to manage extra costs being paid. It can mark unused resources effortlessly so that you can delete those instances and save some computational powers. Proper utilization of policies will ensure cost and resource efficiency. Automated scheduling of runtime resources will help you save a lot of money. Let's take a demo of Cloud Sentinel. This is a login page. We can log in as admin. This gets us through to the main dashboard, which shows a consolidated expense view of all the accounts included. As of now, we have two accounts added. We can add more accounts using add account button. We have to provide name, access key, and secret key of the account. Till date, our expenses for this month is around $34,000. The forecast of the expense for this month is around $43,000. The percent increase of expense from past month is around 12%. The graph shows the increase in expenditure over last 2 months. As we can see, it was around $30,000 2 months back and has almost linearly increased since and has reached to $43,000 this month. Coming down, we can see the historical expenditure over the past 12 months through this bar graph. The minimum expense of month was around 20,000 in July, leading to the whopping amount of $100,000 in March. This donut chart shows the share of expense for the two accounts. To see the detailed expenditure of a particular account, let's go to this link. This is the particular account dashboard for Sona's test. The donut chart here shows the distribution of expense over the services provided by AWS. For example, EC2 service expense was around $13,000. If we go down, it shows a graphical view of expenditure over the last 12 months for this account. The graph keeps on growing. Now let's take a look at some stats. The total expense for this account till date is around $28,000. We can still save $2,200 if we remove the unused resources from the AWS cloud for the rest of the month. There are 129 instances in this account, out of which 94 of them are stopped. Similarly, there are 131 volume disks, out of which 94 are free. For public IPs, there are about 203 EIPs for this account, out of which 5 are unused. 5 is a small number, but still it is considerable. Now let's take a look how we can manage these resources, starting with the instances. We have tried to figure out some of the most cost consuming resources and provided some ways of managing them. The resources that we will be focusing on are EC2, volume storage, and public IPs. For EC2, the table is showing the list of instances with their attributes. Now, if you want to delete one of the stopped instances, we will just type the name of that particular instance and select the instance. Let us see if this same name exists at the AWS also. Yes, it is there. So let's now continue and delete the instance. Now let's check if it is deleted in AWS also. We also have a few policies to manage these instances. For example, if we want to schedule the deletion of few stopped instances, we can add a regex to the name, provide the region, and provide number of days after which you want the instance to be deleted. Uncheck the box so that only stopped instances will be deleted and then apply. Now let's try it with the name LCM and region will be US East 1. Let's say the number of days is 60. Status unchecked. Now apply. Seems like it is done. Here we can see that LCM tagged instances. We can see the tags. Now they have a terminate at 2019 326, which is after 60 days. Similarly, in schedule stop, we can enter the name, enter the number of days and the region and apply, so that after this particular time the instance gets stopped. Since we have already performed this operation earlier, we already have this C7 stop instance which is going to be stopped at 9/2/2009. Now we have our third policy here, which is scheduling on off hour. Through this policy, we can decide when the instance will get started and when we can shut it down, when we can stop the instance. We'll have to enter the name, the region, the date, the start of, let's say we start at 5 and end at 22, that is 10. And if we want to skip any date, we can also provide that. And if we want to skip the weekend running, we can uncheck this box. Now we'll go for apply. Seems like it is done. Now let's go for the second resource, which is volume. In this table, we can see all the volumes which are being associated with this particular account. Here we can select the volume which we need to detach. Let's select a volume from AWS. Let's say we select this volume. Now we'll go in Sentinel and search for that volume. We have also defined few policies to manage the volumes. In this table, we can see that all the volumes associated with this particular account are here with all the attributes related to it. If you want to delete any volume, we can just and search for that particular volume's name and select that volume and then delete it. For example, let's take a volume from AWS with this volume ID. Now we'll search it here. We found it and we'll check it and then delete. Let's search for this volume in our, yes, it is there. Now we'll select this and delete this. Now we can see it is deleted, and now we'll check in the AWS. We'll search for that particular, and there is no volume found, so the volume is deleted now. We have provided the policy to schedule deletion of the detached volumes. We have to enter the number of days after which the detached volume will be deleted. So let's try it with number of 60 days. Apply, and it is done. We can search it in the AWS. If we see any available volume, and the tag here is read at this particular date, so the policy is working. If we want to unmark previous marked volumes which are scheduled to deletion but are running now, we'll click on this apply button. They will be unmarked. Now we'll move on to our next resource, which is public IPs. And we have a list of all the EIPs in this account with its associated attributes. If we want to delete an EIP on the number of EIPs, just mark the checkbox and hit the delete button and the IP will be gone.